Finance for Tuesday, May 26th. Those who are able, please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have a new business and public comments at the end. Before I want to ask any members of the Board of Finance if they wish to have a brief public comment section before we deliberate. If so, I'll entertain a motion to add a section in front of new business.
So moved.
Is there a second? Discussion? Moved and seconded to have a second public comment section added to our agenda just above our deliberations on the Board of Finance budget. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, good. So your agenda doesn't reflect this, but now we just voted in a public comments section. Anybody wish to come to the mic from the public and speak? Just state your name and address, please.
Dave Swinburne, Union President, East Lyme Firefighters. Good evening, members of the board and East Lyme residents. Following the rejection of the initial town budget, we stand at a critical crossroads. While the town must be fiscally responsible, you cannot balance East Lyme's budget by compromising the safety of this town's families. The potential cuts to the public safety portion of the budget, specifically our fire service expansion, are not just a reduction in numbers, they are a direct threat to human life. Right now, our town relies on 4 career firefighters on duty. They're actually here, all 4 of us right now, 4. To cover the entire community, let it sink in. 4 firefighters for over 19,000 residents, stretching from the shoreline all the way to Holmes Road, 42 square miles. To understand why this is a crisis, we have to look at the reality of emergency response. The National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, state safety standards state that a single residential structure fire requires a minimum of 10 firefighters to respond within the first 10 minutes, 80% of the time. And that's for our suburban density. We have 4 firefighters. Furthermore, federal OSHA safety regulations mandate the 2-in, 2-out rule. Firefighters cannot enter a burning, smoke-filled home to rescue a trapped child until there are at least 2 personnel outside ready to rescue those firefighters. By the town reassigning one of the 4 firefighters to a captain's role without adding personnel, the town has effectively reduced the active fire suppression force to a level that is unsafe and violates OSHA. When our 4 on-duty firefighters arrive at a fire, they are forced to choose between breaking federal safety laws or waiting for outside help while a citizen's life is lost and/or house burns down. In a fire, conditions can change and flash over become fatal in less than 5 minutes. Waiting for the mutual aid means watching a home burn to the ground, or worse, losing a life because their crew lacked backup required to make entry. We must also address the local reality. Following our restructuring, East Lyme Fire Services cannot rely on a large force to absorb overlapping calls anymore, especially within neighboring towns facing shortages and make outside help unreliable at times. Chief Bundy and First Selectman Cunningham didn't ask to expand our ranks to 15 and eventually 18 to make it look good. They requested it out of sheer necessity to ensure 2 firefighters are stationed at each of the 3 firehouses. Currently, with only 4 firefighters on duty, Fire Station 2 sits completely empty at times during a 24-hour shift. Imagine living in Giant's Neck or camping at Rocky Neck. Potentially cutting the fire department budget down doesn't just save money. It forces massive overtime costs on the staff we do have and drives up taxpayers' home insurance premiums. When you vote again in the revised budget, remember that public safety is a foundational promise of local government. If we can't protect our citizens and property in their most vulnerable moments, nothing else the town funds will matter. I urge the Board of Finance to preserve the fire service expansion. Keep East Lyme safe. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other members of the public wish to speak?
Good evening. William Bundy, Fire Chief, East Lyme Fire Service. Here we go again. I want to offer some of the comments on this year's fire service budget and the pending deliberation that you folks are going to have. Since my appointment, I've been presented before the Board of Selectmen and before the Board of Finance relating to the fire service. In each of my presentations, I have stressed that the fire service is grossly understaffed, and the fact that we as an agency are failing and falling well short of the required federal standards regarding safety and compliance. I have presented each of the boards with the data to support these claims and the hiring of additional firefighters. I have heard members on both boards use terminology such as, "Why are we just hearing this for the first time? I wasn't aware of that. What are we going to do about this situation?" Several years ago, I was asked by both boards to develop a strategic plan for the hiring and bringing the East Lyme Fire Service up to an acceptable and compliant standard. I've worked with Mr. Cunningham and Mr. Gervais to do just that. Although over the last several years, we have seen a small nominal increase in staffing, but we are still falling well below the accepted level according to national standards. During this budget period, I presented again to both boards multiple times, emphasizing the need to increase our staffing. After several deliberations among both boards, this board supported the hiring and funding of 3 additional firefighters, to which I am grateful for. In spite of these additions, we still would be far below what is acceptable national standard. But it did, however, demonstrate a commitment by the town and the board in recognizing the needs and the importance of safety, not only for our citizens, but the firefighters who are committed every day to provide this service for you folks. With the recent referendum and the vote by the taxpayers, we are now again facing the need of additional cuts. These cuts, which I know full well are being looked upon to be taken once again from public safety. I want to go on the record to say this: any additional cuts from the East Lyme Fire Service is not only reckless, it's dangerous. In the past budget deliberation with this board, I presented a letter to the board asking for your support. And I know the board received it because several of you spoke to me about it offline. I believe it was placed in your packets at the time and made a part of your minutes. It wasn't, however, read for the public to hear. I'm going to do that tonight so that nobody can go forward saying, "I didn't know." Dated April 15, 2026, support for fire service budget and the addition of 3 additional firefighters to the Town of East Lyme Board of Finance. I respectfully submit this letter in strong support of the proposed fire service budget and the addition of 3 firefighters to our department. This request is rooted in nationally recognized safety standards, operational effectiveness, and our obligation to provide the highest level of protection to the residents and visitors of East Lyme. Over the past several years, our department has experienced a steady and measurable increase in calls for emergency services. These calls include fire incidents, emergency medical responses, motor vehicle accidents, and all other hazard events. While demand for service has grown, our staffing levels have remained largely unchanged. This imbalance places increased strain on our personnel, impacts responsive effectiveness, and challenges our ability to meet nationally recognized safety and performance standards. Fire protection is a time-critical, labor-intensive service. The ability to safely and effectively mitigate emergency is directly dependent upon having sufficient, properly trained personnel available at the onset of an incident. The National Fire Protection Association provides benchmark standards that guide fire service deployment nationwide. Under NFPA 1710, which governs career fire departments, the standard recommends a minimum of 4 firefighters per engine and ladder company, and an effective response force approximately 15 to 17 personnel for a typical residential structure fire within a defined time benchmark. These staffing levels are based on extensive research into fire behavior, task completion times, and firefighter survivability. Without adequate staffing, critical tasks such as fire attack, search and rescue, ventilation, and rapid intervention cannot be performed simultaneously, increasing risk to both occupants and firefighters. Similarly, NFPA 1720, which applies to volunteer and combination departments, established minimum staffing and responsible objectiveness based on community risk and population density. Even in suburban settings, the standards call for at least 10 personnel on a scene within 10 minutes, recognizing that fewer personnel directly impact operational capability and safety. These standards collectively reinforce the fact that adequate staffing is essential, regardless of department configuration. In addition to NFPA guidance, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, established workplace safety expectations and directly applied to fire service operations. OSHA standards emphasize employer responsibility to provide a safe working environment, and consensus standards such as NFPA are often used to demonstrate recognized industry practices under the General Duty Clause. Inadequate staffing can place firefighters in situations that do not meet accepted safety practices, increasing the likelihood of an injury or line of duty death. As a municipal department, we continually fail to meet these standards. As articulated to the board at the previous budget deliberation during most recent residential structure fire, we had 4 firefighters on scene at the 12-minute mark, 8 firefighters at 19 minutes, and it took over 30 minutes to get 10 firefighters on scene. There is also a well-documented relationship between staffing levels, training, and a Community Insurance Services Office rating, ISO. ISO evaluates fire departments based on emergency response capabilities, including personnel, training, and deployment, areas considered for further budgetary cuts. Communities with stronger staffing models and training programs typically achieve better ISO ratings, which can directly translate into reduced property insurance premiums for residents and businesses. Conversely, insufficient staffing can negatively impact ISO classifications, ultimately increasing costs for taxpayers. Beyond standards and ratings, the reality on the fire ground is clear. Emergencies do not scale to available staffing. Fires, medical emergencies, and technical rescues require immediate coordinated action. When staffing is below recommended levels, we are forced to be reactive, sequential operations rather than a proactive simultaneous, delaying critical interventions such as rescue and fire suppression. The addition of these 3 firefighters will improve our ability to address the growing demand for emergency services, move closer to NFPA recommended staffing levels, enhance firefighter safety and compliance with OSHA expectations, improve response effectiveness and operational outcomes, strengthen our ISO rating, and reduce long-term insurance costs for the community, and maintain a sustainable workforce capable of meeting current and future service demands. This is simply not a request about staffing. It is about aligning our resources with the increasing needs of our community, managing risk, and upholding our responsibility to protect life and property. Investing in the fire service staffing today reduces loss of life, property damage, and long-term costs to the community. I urge the board to support and approve the proposed budget in addition to these critical positions. Doing so demonstrates a commitment to the safety, resilience, and well-being of the East Lyme community. And I thank you for your time and consideration. Respectfully submitted, William Bundy, Chief of Fire Service. Each one of you are given that. I want it to go on the record because that was not presented or it was not heard by the board or by the community. It was suggested in a previous Board of Selectmen meeting as we move forward to close a firehouse, Station 2 over by Rocky Neck, in an effort to cut the budget. It was stated at a Board of Finance meeting that the fire service needs to operate more like a business. I offer that the fire service is just that, a service. It's not a business. And I do understand the need and the importance of fiscal responsibility when it comes to budgets and spending. Unfortunately, when it comes to cutting service, we deal with human lives. and the life and death. And the cuts in or failing to fund areas such as staffing or the suggestion of closing firehouses, as I said, is reckless and dangerous. In closing, I leave you with this. In 2025, there were 84 firefighter line of duty deaths across the country and over 54,000 municipal firefighters injured. These are investigated by NIOSH, which is the Institute of Occupational Safety and Health. And I participated in my previous job on those investigations with NIOSH and the line of duty death with firefighters. These independent investigations are to find contributing factors and give safety recommendations relative to those incidents. And they always include an examination of staffing and how it plays into it. Over the past weekend, the city of Boston lost a firefighter. He was killed in an apartment house fire. I'm not here to compare us to Boston. That'd be foolish. We're not the size of Boston. We don't have the size of the department nor the call volume. But what we do have are the same type of fires. Fire doesn't differentiate whether you're in a big city or in a shoreline community. And as I said, fires do not scale themselves based on the size of your municipality. And although I don't know exactly how many firefighters were on staff in Boston, I can assure you it wasn't 4. I want to thank each and every one of you because I know you have a very difficult job ahead of you, and I do appreciate all the support that you've given us thus far. But you do have a very difficult decision to make, and I ask that while you're doing so, that you really give some careful and thoughtful consideration and leave the fire service where it is and present the budget that was previously accepted by you folks. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for your comment. Any other members of the public wish to speak? State your name and address, please.
Hello, Deborah Stewart Van Orden again, 21 Hillwood Drive, homeowner, taxpayer. I'm here again representing people who don't have children and people who are not teachers. That is myself and many others like me. Some of them here today in the audience, so thank you for joining us. Different demographics that want to support schools fully. Last time we were here in this room for this purpose, there was a lot of line item by line item scrutiny, and there was a lot of lack of seconding of motions of things that are not school or public safety related. There's critical things like fire and public safety. There are critical things like the school system. The school system cannot endure fluctuations. The school system is the crown jewel of East Lyme. I hope that you guys can look through the line items in the budget that are not critical and, like we said, sharpen our pencils and find places to cut. The mental health of teachers really matters, and I don't think the school budget should suffer. The vote that happened on Thursday, in my mind, can be interpreted in many ways, but it wasn't a vote against schools. It was a vote against a hike in the mill rate that was that substantial. So maybe there's a way to maybe necessarily increase the mill rate, but not that much. But really sharpen our pencils this year instead of next year, even though we're grateful that you found some extra ways to make some of the budget stand. This is the year to cut the line items that are not essential and do our homework and really cut where we can, where it's not essential or safety or school related. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Good.
Hi, Tim Dad, 66 East Patagonia. I want to begin by thanking you for your work. I know none of us want to be in this room right now after all the work that went into the last agreement. My request is, as you consider what cuts need to be made, that you work with the Board of Ed to come up with mindful cuts that minimize harms to students. I know the budget didn't pass, but I can't believe as a town we want to address inflation by blowing up class sizes on elementary school kids. I think it's also important to remember the effect this is having on staff and staffing. We're talking about letting go some people that would have had seniority and tenure in their previous jobs had they not come here. Not only do I think that's horrible, I know this district has always benefited by being able to hire experienced educators who have already honed their craft. If this is how we treat them year after year, that applicant pool is going to dry up for us, and that's going to affect our classrooms and teacher quality going forward. That said, if we can get the Board of Ed and the Board of Finance working together right this year, maybe we can work together going forward in future years so we don't have to make decisions in April and May, and we can together make a strong case to the public about what our needs are. Finally, I have to ask that whatever happens, that we have a public statement from the town about what changes are being made before the next vote. We very publicly got hundreds of thousands of dollars from the state after the hard-fought budget was formed. And I'm confident you use that money in an appropriate fashion to shore up finances and possibly reduce the mill rate. But most of the town doesn't know what happened to that money, including myself. So let's make sure we go into the next vote with the voters informed about the decisions that happen here on Thursday, so that we're not here again next week. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other members of the public?
Kevin Glenn, Police Chief. I'd like to cut to the chase and not try to re-justify my whole budget presentation. I know we're here to make cuts after the referendum was voted against the proposed budget. So I'd like to cooperate with the Board of Finance, knowing that cuts need to be made. I understand the low-hanging fruit would be additional staffing. In the proposed budget, there are 2 half-year positions totaling $66,000. If those 2 positions are cut, there would need to be an increase of $20,000 in overtime for each position, which totals $40,000. So eliminating those 2 half-year positions would only be a net savings of $26,000. I know a lot of people don't understand the correlation between the new staffing and the overtime needs, so I just want to make it clear it's only $26,000 net savings. Again, to cooperate with the Board of Finance, I have proposed cuts that would satisfy that $26,000 reduction. I would propose, if that's being considered, a reduction in our part-time police personnel, reducing that by $14,000 to 0. In addition to that, an additional $12,000 in our overtime line. That $12,000 would be reduced in combination between our boat staffing, our walking beats overtime in the summer, as well as general enforcement overtime. So in summary, if you would consider not cutting those 2 half-year positions, we would realize the same funding reduction in those other 2 cuts. So I would just ask that we make the funding cuts thinking about dollars and cents opposed to perception of the increase in staffing. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other members of the public wish to speak? All right, thank you, everyone. On to new business, and that is the deliberations of changes in the 26-27 budget. Tonight, we'll be going through the entire budget, all aspects. There's a public meeting on Thursday evening, 5:30 at the high school. And we'll finalize the budget metrics after that meeting, and then the town referendum will follow as per statute. So to start us off, I want to start with capital projects. We have a number of capital projects that were voted on previously, and we've been looking at them carefully to see what could potentially be cut. The first item up, Kevin, if you can bring up the capital projects budget sheet, is the ADA compliant website redesign of. Can you find that?
Oh, sorry, hold on.
Right now, $20,000 is allocated. I'm proposing that we cut that $20,000, and it might be able to be fulfilled, I believe, through existing staff making the adjustments. Have I got that right?
So we're not under consent order from the Department of Justice to make the website ADA compliant just yet, even though I know there's a deadline we're up against. But our volunteer, Mike Mines, was able to work with some things behind the scenes. So we're not quite sure if we need the $20,000, but if so, we'll bring it forward next year.
Okay, so I'm entertaining a motion that we reduce this line item on line 8 of the capital projects budget proposal, $20,000 to zero. Anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, moved and seconded to remove $20,000 from the ADA website redesign. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next up, the town hall cameras. Right now, if you can point that out, Kevin, I think it's a $70,000 item. What's it, line 19? Line 19?
Kevin, is it at all possible to enlarge that so people can see or not really?
Not really, because if I zoom in, I lose my labels.
Oh, okay.
So I can zoom in a smidge.
So I guess I'm of the understanding that the cameras for town hall, while we've discussed it extensively in previous meetings, we concurred that this is an important item to support. I think that it's possible that a grant could be obtained by the IT department to support that. So I'm going to entertain a motion that we cut the $70,000 for town hall cameras and infrastructure from $70,000 to zero.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to cut $70,000 from the town hall cameras and supporting infrastructure budget within capital projects. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the road paving program. Can you find that for us, please? I think it is item 33.
Correct.
So right now it is, what is the amount?
750,000.
750,000, so we're proposing coming down on that by about $30,000, so it would be a $720,000 allocation. While road paving is certainly important, and we all would love to support it fully, we're just trying to find ways to cut this budget, and this seems like something that wouldn't do that much damage to the whole road paving program overall. So I'm going to propose a $30,000 reduction in the road paving program, item 33 on your capital projects budget. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to cut $30,000 from the $750,000 item that it is right now, right?
Yep.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Town sidewalk construction. This is a $50,000 budget item. I'm going to propose that we bring this down to zero, and sidewalk reconstruction gets deferred until next year. And is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce the town sidewalk construction budget of capital projects, item 34 on the budget proposal. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The large dump truck, also in capital project. Can you find that for us, please? I think it's item 37. Okay, right now it's a $75,000 allocation. Could we please defer replacing the chassis and refurbishing that dump truck for until next budget year? So I entertain a motion that we reduce the item from $75,000 down to zero. Either a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce the large dump truck allocation from $75,000 down to zero. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. I wanted to understand more about this next item, please, and that is the ADA improvements to the library bathrooms. There's $100,000 allocated, right? Have I got that right?
Yep.
Can you show us where it is? Okay. We would be deferring making the library bathrooms ADA compliant if we were to cut this entirely.
There's two pieces to that project. One part is the ADA compliance for the bathrooms at the library, and then the other piece of it was a concrete apron for the back of the library to put the pergola on top of that the senior center was looking to purchase.
Okay. So that's other improvements.
That's the other piece of it, yep.
Got it.
You
Do you have a?
split it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question. How would you break that down?
I don't know the split, but Joe, do you happen to know the split there? Yeah.
Yes, please. That's legal.
Joe Bergal, Public Works Director. It's probably about 75,000 on the bathroom and another 25. We were trying to set aside money to the senior center. It got the pergola, and they were trying to improve the back, and without trying to add to the space of the building, it was trying to make the back more accessible for their activities. They can't just stick a pergola in the mud back there, because so that was all the drainage work. The highway department was going to try to come in and do it, but can't do it without any money. Like, we'd have to have, drainage pipes and put all the concrete in, so this would wipe everything out. We wouldn't be able to do anything better.
Thank you for that explanation. So I'm going to propose that we cut the, based on Joe's statement, we cut the other improvements and leave the ADA compliant improvements in the bathrooms alone. I'm going to suggest a $25,000 cut in that item.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, please.
Yes. Are the current bathrooms already ADA compliant and we're just upgrading?
Those bathrooms are 33 years old. They met the ADA compliance at the time, but there's just so many things that in the new code. So we're not under, as you mentioned before, we're not under DOJ mandate like we were at this building, so it's not absolutely required, but they're 33 years old, and just to try to do them like normal with the right size stalls and all the different features is not cheap. We're talking the two main ones in the lobby.
Right.
We were going to try to do something like we did here to make it so anyone can use it, but we're not under Department of Justice mandate to do it.
Right. Nor should we be. Those are necessary items to be done, and since we have a lot of seniors and a lot of disabled people that use the building, it seems very appropriate to me. I do have a little bit of question about the additional upgrade for additional space outside for the senior center. The senior center, I feel, is bursting at the seams, and to have that extra space where the pollinator pathway people have been redesigning the garden back there and putting that into place, I think, to me, that's an important project as well, but that's just my thought.
If we were, thank you. If we were to retain that, we wouldn't cut anything from this $100,000 item. So right now the motion on the table is to cut $25,000 from the $100,000. Any further discussion? All right, moved and seconded to cut $25,000 from line 41 in the capital projects budget for to reduce the other improvements part of this and retain the ADA improvements in the bathrooms. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay, the motion passes. All right, next item up is, within capital projects, is the mechanical beach groomer. It was explained to me that while this is needed, there could be a refurbishment. So the $75,000 item, can you just show it to us, Kevin? It's number 47. Could be cut, so long as we provide finances for refurbishment elsewhere. Similarly, the bleacher replacement, also in Parks and Rec budget, that is item 49. Right now, that's 50,000. So we would be cutting it by, have I got this right, 30,000, Kevin?
So
And then put in 20.
So for bleachers, we need about 20 grand, Jerry, does that sound right? And then 25 for the tines. So we can cut the mechanical beach groomer by 50,000, or the whole thing, and then just move 25 to operating.
So we're talking about cutting the entire 75,000 for the groomer and the entire 50,000 for the bleacher replacement, but adding back in 45,000 to the maintenance budget.
Correct.
Okay. So this is going to take
Two
three motions. The first motion is going to be removing the mechanical beach groomer entirely, which is item,
It's called beach groomer.
I don't know, give me the number of the line.
47.
47, thank you. Taking the $75,000 item down to zero. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to reduce the $75,000 mechanical beach groomer down to, from 75,000 up to zero. Discussion, please. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Great, that item passes. The bleacher replacement, $50,000, item 49, thank you. Right now it's 50, I'm proposing bringing it down to zero. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded to reduce the bleacher replacement item on capital projects from 50,000 down to zero. Is there discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. We'll get to the additions to the town budget in a minute. The last item is the East Lyme Middle School roof life extension restoration. Can you show us that item?
55.
55, thank you. Glad I wore my glasses. Right now, that item is at $350,000.
Correct.
And we're proposing deferring that restoration until the following budget year. So I'm going to entertain a motion to reduce that $350,000 roof life extension restoration from 350 down to zero. Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to take item 55 on the capital projects budget, the East Lyme Middle School roof life extension, from $350,000 down to zero. Discussion, please. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item carries. That's all I have for capital projects. Does anybody else on the board have other capital project ideas they wish to discuss? Okay, thank you. Let's move on now to the Town of East Lyme budget. And I want to start with the cash capital outlay. Can you bring that cash capital outlay, Kevin, up so we can see what it was last year versus this year?
Yep. Okay. So currently for cash capital, We're sitting at 1 million, sorry, it's hard to see here, guys, a lot of numbers.
$1,362,951. And last year it was $998. So we
Correct.
have increased it by 365-ish.
364,100.
Yeah, thank you. I am going to propose that we reduce the cash capital outlay from 262,000, no, sorry, that. We reduce it by 262,951, so the proposed new number becomes 1.1 million.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded to reduce item 57300 within the 1054900 budget by 262,951. Discussion. Okay.
I just need a minute to formulate my question, sorry. So by us taking down the cash capital, I guess I need to understand how much money we just took down out of the capital budget.
Mhm.
Was it that exact amount or more?
More. So I have to do
We took down 700.
745.
Yeah.
I got it right here.
745.
We took down
out of
745.
well, we left 25,000. We left 75,000 in the ELCC ADA. So therefore, it's only 775.
So 745,000 we removed from capital, but don't forget we have to add 45 for those two other projects. So net effect was
Thank
700,000.
you for that correction.
So I think, Kim, what you were getting with is the reconciliation between this capital project spreadsheet and the operating spreadsheet, right? So the motion on the table is for 262,951 to be removed from cash capital, and then that means we have to bond it or some other financing source. So what we really need to do, when you go through these capital projects, there's a few smaller ones that I really think we should probably be paying for in cash. The only big project, these two big ones are low SIP, that's grant funded, so we can't move that to bonded. The only project is the Board of Ed capital projects, which I know we wanted to pay for in cash. We literally can't. So we have to move 262,000 of that money over to the 5-year bond. So that's the piece of this to reconcile it out. I mean, there's some other ones we could possibly move, but these three are low SIP. So that 20,000 is eligible. These are eligible. These small ones are all eligible. So I mean, even if I take all the small ones, 159,000, we're bonding for, chairs. So I
Right,
think
so-
this has to be moved.
So I think the discussion we need to have.
You want to zoom in a little bit?
This is the 350 for the
Capital project, technology.
technology in the schools. And I think please someone correct me if I'm wrong, because this is very important, but I believe what we heard was that there was a 4-year cycling of devices in the school. And so if we're not going to pay cash for that, we're moving that to a 5-year bond on an asset that is getting depreciated for 4 years. Not the right financial move to make. I'm sorry. So that doesn't make sense unless there is a financial wizard here that can tell me why that's a good idea. But we shouldn't be bonding something for 5 years that we only use for 4 and that is likely being depreciated for 4.
Are we obligated to bond for 5, or are there any other options, Kevin?
I haven't really, the only other person I know in the room that's been a finance director is Mrs. Stevens. Have you done anything less than a 5-year bond? I think it's pretty much 5 years, right? I've not seen anything smaller than a 5-year. I think 5 years is kind of like the standard.
Right. So from my my recommendation is that I think we were successful in making a lot of cuts, which are great from a capital standpoint. I don't know the exact tally, but many of them are in the 5-year bond area, correct?
Of the project cuts we made.
Yeah.
The groomer was 5-year. I'm just going through the list.
Because if we could sort that out, like, I would support taking down based on anything that we're paying cash capital for, but I wouldn't take it any lower than that.
So if we remove the IT tech, there's only 179,000 of other projects in total, besides that IT tech. You see
On
what
the
I'm saying?
cash capital
Yeah,
side?
because the problem is these right here, this 200, 220, the 250, and the 50 are low SIP. That's grant funded. And so if you went to the revenue side, it's just showing there's a revenue for grants. So
So what's your bottom line thought, Kim?
okay, Mariana, what do you know the breakdown of that 350? How much of that was the smart boards? Those last longer than 5 years, right?
Yeah, thanks.
So maybe not the computer piece we bond out, but the rest of it we could, those, I think those I don't want to call them Promethean boards.
Didn't we have a presentation at the last
Yeah.
meeting over
Yeah.
at the high school that broke it down for us?
Those slides, right? Yeah. I don't have a copy of it in front of me.
I did, somewhere. Here they are.
Thank you for having this.
First, someone's gonna have to help me decipher it, but, these were the clear touch.
Yep, the clear boards.
That just gives
Oh, sorry.
the total inventory,
Here's the last one.
there's the acquisition.
So boards were 83,304.
Okay.
Does that sound right?
I'm sorry, can you say repeat that?
I'm sorry. So the boards that Kevin was recommending, there were 26 of them for, let's call it 3,200. So that gave us a total cost of 83,304.
Yeah, that's not.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
So that, if you're saying has a life expectancy of 5 years or greater, would
Mhm.
make sense to bond that.
So that still leaves like 250 there.
Well, the teachers' computers aren't on a 4-year cycle, are they? They last longer?
We've had some that have lasted a little bit longer. We're in desperate need to replace the elementary ones. That's what's on there. Those have to be replaced.
For the 100. And we have 100 teachers.
I'm sorry?
He was estimating a quantity of 100. We have 100 elementary school teachers.
Yeah, that's on the sheet, yes. Yeah.
I can move 55,000 patrol rifles. Chief, longer than 5 years, patrol rifle. Same with the tactical team equipment. That's more than 5 years. So that's 55. Just trying to piece it together, everybody. I don't want to touch those 2 grants.
So where are we going? The motion on the floor is to cut cash capital by 262,000. Sounds like you're proposing reducing that number because of the fact that what this item was going to be used for was to support computers that only last for 4 years. So
Right, because I think.
can you
what-
articulate maybe the metrics behind what you'd like to see change in that 262 reduction?
Sure. So I don't think, how can I say this? Whatever savings we have from the capital reductions we've made that are specific to items that we were funding via cash, that makes sense, right, to take that down. But we shouldn't be moving more out of cash capital and forcing other things into the bond fund, particularly if there are things that aren't going to be depreciated within 5 years, or at least 5 years, sorry. So it's
You don't want to pay for a loan on something that you don't have anymore.
exactly.
Yes, you only have 4 years, so year 5 you're paying for it, but you don't have it. That's
Right.
what you're getting at. I gotcha.
So I think what we were trying to accomplish with cash capital was to get out of the debt service covered spiral that the town is in, pushing more of our, I'm gonna say, available cash, not that we have a lot right now because we're stuck. But we want to put as much as we can in cash capital that's appropriate, and bond things that are larger dollar amounts that are capital investments that are 5 years or that depreciate in 5 years or more. So we don't get caught up there, which is what has been happening with some of the with some of the things that we've been bonding. They've been depreciating faster than the bond that we have them attached to.
Right.
So essentially, you're asking Kevin to come up with things that would have been cash capital that weren't in a 5-year bond, and then we need to ask, can those boards be split out of that bond?
Right.
So I've got 3 projects I think we could potentially move into the bonding. So there's the I don't know if this is, hold on. There's so many electronics over here in this corner. Okay, the more we slide it, the quieter it gets. Okay, so there's the $20,000 for the HVAC. There's the patrol rifles, the regional tactical team. That's 75. We need 262, 951. The difference is 187, 951. It sounded like the boards were 85,000 roughly.
83.
The teacher laptops adding up to 100K.
Yeah,
Yes. It was 115.
115.
115,293, and those are from 5 years.
So I can slide 200,000 of their money over, and that would get us to where we need to be. Do you want me to do that math here on the side? And
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
198,
So,
that's what I would
597.
do. Sorry, everybody. It's definitely that one.
It's like 210.
Stand by, everyone. While we're waiting on Kevin with these numbers, is there any other discussion of this cash capital outlay reduction? Okay.
I would say we did it, but, here we go. So, capital projects for the Board of Ed, 167, 951 will be bonded, 182, 049 will be paid for in cash. Gets us to 1,100,000 cash capital, right? That's gonna be
Okay.
sliding over HVAC, patrol rifles, and tactical team equipment.
All right. So, help me understand how we need to modify this motion, please.
I don't think you do. You don't. Should you go ahead and reduce cash capital? All I did
We haven't
was
done
move
it yet.
funding sources.
We haven't done it yet. We haven't voted.
So the items that you mentioned will go into bonding then because they have a
Correct.
greater than 5-year lifespan.
However, so just to give everyone at home and everyone here, when we started the meeting, we were at 4.8 million in bonds. Now we're at 4.3 million, and reduced cash capital by delaying some of those projects. So bonded money is still below what so every year we pay for about 4.6, 4.7 million in bonds. Now we're going to be bonding for less than what we're paying. We effectively got out of our negative feedback loop for bonding, which is I think one of our priorities.
Yes.
And we still increased cash capital 10%. So I don't think there's any, the motion's on the table.
The motion can stay the same.
Yeah.
You've adjusted things behind the scenes
And-
so that it all
And
fits.
we're no longer 5-year bonding 4-year items.
Correct.
Okay.
As long as we have the commitment from the school that the elementary school teachers will use their laptops for 5 and that the clear touch boards can be used for 5.
Okay. Thank you for that. Sorry it took so long, everyone. So the motion on the table is to reduce the cash capital outlay by $262,951. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Let's now go to what we need to add in to support the refurbishment of the groomer and the repairs for the bleachers. I think, Kevin, you told me that is item budget section 54503, and it is 54300. We got that right? Can you bring it up? Can you pop it up so we can just see it on the screen, please?
Here, line 437.
So we're proposing adding back in to that one $45,000 to support the repairs for the items that we're no longer going to purchase.
Correct.
Okay, so I need a motion to add $45,000 to line 437, which is object 54300, repairs and maintenance within the Parks and Rec budget.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion, please? All those in favor of adding $45,000 to Parks and Rec repairs and maintenance budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, let's keep going on the town budget, please. Within the planning department, they have a GIS planner, which is, I think, an intern. We had previously budgeted $5,000. Proposal to reduce that allocation by $2,700. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce item 51620 within the planning commission budget, planning office budget, by $2,700. Any discussion?
Yes, I guess I'd like to ask what that little bit of funding will provide for the town, and why not, and why we're not just going to eliminate it, because there's so little left.
I think that they can still hire an intern, I was informed, but they'll just delay the hiring of that intern. And I think we had discussion, as I recall, about the value of the intern to that department, in terms of his.
Yep, we had a whole
Yep.
document that was pulled together.
Any further discussion of this item? Okay, all those in favor of reducing the GIS planner, item 51620, within the planning budget by $2,700, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Abstain. So 501, motion carries. Next up is budget 1054418. Kevin, can you bring it up? 4418, which is the Youth and Family Health Services budget. The office supplies item, which is 56100. Right now, it is at $7,075. Proposed to reduce their office supplies to $2,000, reducing it by $5,075.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce office supplies within the Youth and Family Health Services budget down to $2,000 from 7075. Any discussion?
May I just ask, did the leader of that area volunteer those cuts?
I think there was a discussion, not a discussion.
Nope. Many departments I didn't hear back from. The ones you see in the room are the ones we heard back from.
So, in making this cut, we don't know what we're not getting, so to speak. It's just that this was a high number, and we're trying to bring them in line with other departments.
That, and we do have 30,000 sitting for cannabis funds, and there's 100,000 sitting in opiate funds. So if there's any, it's a 3-person department, so it wasn't 7,000. It's kind of rich for office supplies. And it's not programs, because there's a program line, the technical supply line beneath that.
So this is literally just office supplies?
Yeah.
Staples, paper?
I'm not quite sure what they're buying in there, but, it's titled office supplies, so. But we have other financing sources, or funding sources, so we could always just do an appropriation, and you'll see us in a few more months then, if we do an appropriation out of those other funds.
So Kevin, did you look at all office supply budgets for all of the town departments?
My Memorial Day weekend was going through this budget and
Okay.
finding kind of low-hanging fruit versus, what's budgeted versus what's
Yeah.
been spent year to date, and
Okay, so this was one of
yeah.
those identified. Thank you.
Any further discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor of reducing the office supplies budget within the Youth and Family Health Services, item 56100, from $7,075 down to $2,000, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next up, still within the Youth and Family Health Services budget, is technical supplies. Right now, the budget is $13,000 for technical supplies. Proposed that we reduce it by $8,000 to get down to a $5,000 budget. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded to reduce technical supplies within the YFHS budget from $13,000 down to $5,000. Discussion?
Yes, I'd like to know what technical supplies means for that department.
Pull up the budget document. It looks like it just says program supplies.
And again, we do have the cannabis fund as a resource should they find a need that this $5,000 doesn't support.
And the opiate.
And the opiate.
And the opiate funds.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of reducing technical supplies within YFHS budget 56115 from $13,000 down to $5,000, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Let's move to budget item 1059800, personnel contingency. Can you bring that up, Kevin?
Yep. Line 497.
We're in the contingency fund budget, and this is the second item in there, 55917. Right now, it is $300,000. No, sorry. It is $308,275. I'm going to suggest that we reduce the personnel contingency by $8,275 to get down to $300,000. Anybody want to move?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce 55917 personnel contingency from 308,275 down to 300,000. Discussion, please.
Yes, is the reduction in part due to some of the negotiations that have occurred already?
Yes, so we've
Okay.
settled 2 union contracts. We have 1 more to go. So as those numbers are getting more refined, we originally started at 344. We were able to reduce that by about 36, and now it looks like we can reduce that by another about 8,300.
Okay, and we should still have plenty to cover the remaining contracts.
I wouldn't use the word plenty.
But
It's
we
going to be
have
razor thin.
sufficient.
It's getting closer and closer as we go.
Okay,
But
okay, thank you.
So can I just ask though, because we had 2 collective bargaining unit negotiations completed.
Mhm.
And if I followed the reductions that we took, the benefit to the town resulted in, was it 46,000 from those two? You said you had cut it and then you cut it, and now we're cutting it a second time.
Yeah. Original cut 36, and then this cut's about 8,300.
And so that was that was the upside for the town in those contract negotiations?
Dan
Or is
jump in
it-
every time, anytime, but every contract had a slight different strategy. So, for instance, I know some of the fire department here. The last contract we negotiated a new contract, so there was a lot of ability to go back and forth with the union and the town. I don't believe the same is true potentially for the other unions. Every union's a little different. But I think we're comfortable with that, with this $8,300 cut.
How many collective bargaining units are left to negotiate? So,
I don't know how to fix that, guys. I'm sorry.
and I know these negotiations are complicated. They're very complex. I appreciate that and I respect that. But we had an original budget of 400-ish, maybe less, 3 something.
For the negotiations.
And yes,
344.
344.
Yeah.
We've resolved 2,
Mm-hmm.
and we're only bringing it down by $40,000, and we only have 1 to go. But we think, because of the sensitivity around that it's going to take the town's going to be at risk for 300 more being added to that collective bargaining unit agreement. I think this is really important for us to understand how the town is budgeting for collective bargaining unit negotiations.
Yeah, part of it is we're still in the middle of negotiations, so I really don't want to comment too much.
I'm just
about what we're doing.
looking at the process,
Yeah.
right? So we have 3, we've solidified 2.
But they're all different, and they have different advantages and disadvantages,
And
so.
Kim, if I may, whatever is left in that contingency at the end of the year, if it's estimated a little bit high, which for salaries, I think you want to give yourself a little cushion rather than being short and having to dive into other funds. But if there's anything left in that contingency fund, it'll get rolled into the fund balance at the end of the year. And since we're already dipping into the fund balance, to me it makes sense.
Makes sense to leave the 300 where
Okay.
it is.
So let me just ask one other question.
Yeah, for that reduction that was put on the table.
Are there any other savings that we will see elsewhere in the town budget regarding the resolution of the 2 collective bargaining unit agreements?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is firefighter overtime. We ratified that, right? We're good there? Okay. So,
It's been approved by the board, so
Yeah,
I just haven't signed it.
so this line right here, overtime, this current line is sitting at $1 million this year. And next year we budgeted $700,000 with the idea of going from double time on Saturdays to time and a half for all the firemen. So essentially we cut 2 firemen off if you think about it. Before we were paying double time for 4 firemen, so we're paying for 8 base wages for a Saturday. Now we're down to 6. So we've saved 2 firemen for 104 hours. Right, that's 24.
But you've already taken that number down.
Correct, but if that contract, we're anticipating kind of that idea to go down. Overtime would be $1 million if we didn't have that.
So I guess
We're kind of making that in the budget already.
Okay, so even though those are just getting finalized, there's no additional benefit to the town because we anticipated that and you already took the number down.
Yeah, so it was a huge anticipatory piece, like this $18,000 right here for part-time firefighter wages. If we just dig into this real quick, that number's over $290,000. Hold on, here it is. We're budgeting $230 this current year we're in. overtime is budgeted at 500. That 230 is already all moved down here. This number's pushing $1 million this year. So with this collective bargaining agreement, we shaved overtime by north of like $150,000. And luckily this year, if we didn't, this contract negotiation worked out well for us. We didn't have this pocket here of part-time wages to cover any overtime in the next budget. So this budget was, it's hairy. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was tight. Proposed budget. The idea was getting the additional funds.
Okay.
Does that answer your question there?
Yep, so, thank you.
So the motion on the table is to reduce the personnel contingency budget by $8,275, bringing it down to $300,000. Any further discussion?
Second.
It's moved and seconded already. You can second again, but you don't have to. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Just over exuberant here, Scott.
I like exuberance. I love it. Planning legal fees, budget item 1054139. Kevin, can you bring that up, please? Okay, and this is 53024, which is line item 71 on the sheet. Right now it's at $10,000. I understood from discussion that the legal fees associated with the planning department could be covered by another line item. Have I got that correct?
So, planning and conservation, the plan is to roll that into the zoning legal, turn the zoning legal into land use legal services. It's one, it's kind of one agency, right, multiple agencies, sorry, Gary. There's multiples downstairs, but not every department needs its own budget. So, just as we have like that public safety legal line there for labor attorney, now there'll be a land use legal line. So we're going to consolidate 3 lines into one.
Okay, and in so doing, we can eliminate the conservation and the planning legal fees
Correct.
without doing damage to our ability to still manage the zoning. Thank you. All right, so then item 53024, which is planning legal fees of $10,000. I entertain a motion that we make that 0.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
Yes. So, Kevin, the funding that's in the zoning legal fees, which will now become the land use legal fees, that's sufficient to cover the reduction that we just did of the planning and the conservation?
I don't want to.
Or to the best of your
yes.
knowledge?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
And if not, we've got contingency to fall back on. Okay, thank you.
But not all leaving. I think they're just going to the water and sewer commission.
Yes. So, any further discussion? Okay, the issue on the table is reducing planning legal fees, item 53024, within the 1054139 budget from $10,000 down to 0. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Let's move up to conservation legal fees within the same budget, 1054139. This is 53025, which is what, 72? And this item is $15,000, and I entertain a motion that we reduce that to 0.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to take conservation legal fees, item 53025, within the 1054139 budget from $15,000 down to 0. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh, any abstentions? Sorry. Motion carries. Let's go to the road reconstruction budget, 1054303. Can you bring that up, please, Kevin? 4303. This is in Public Works. Right now, it is 54305. Can you just Right now it's $190,000, right? Proposed to just reduce that modestly by $15,000. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce road reconstruction from $190 down to $175,000. Discussion? Took a breath.
Well, I guess I have to ask the town, Joe, how do we define something that's road construction that is capitalized versus road construction that is not capitalized? So is it potholes?
This is mostly materials. All the precast structures, we probably spend about 40, 50,000 to rebuild 40, 50 catch basins. It's all buying drainage pipe. It's just all the materials, Tilcon to buy asphalt. So you say potholes, but I mean, in the course of a year, we could spend 30,000 on Tilcon to get asphalt. So it's just mainly all materials, and just like this year, fleet maintenance the line was 300. It came in at 400. Slide the money over from road recon. So that's the one last thing we have to make up for anything else. And so if this line keeps going down, we might have to come back and ask, depending on the year. But that it's basically materials and everything that comes up in the course of a year. That's our really. There's a lot of specific lines. Road recon is everything else that anyone comes up with, any other project, any other small pave. We don't just do potholes. A lot of times we do full depth patch work. So that's pretty much road reconstruction.
Okay,
Did that answer?
it did.
Okay.
Just say, capitalizing potholes is not allowed by accounting practices, so I think you're getting at that.
Yeah.
But this isn't capital.
No, it's not, but I just want to make sure that we're appropriately, like we had road construction in capital, we've got road construction in our operating budget. I just want to make sure from an accounting standpoint that we're following the rules. So, you're
Okay.
comfortable with that.
So-
Just around the record, now it sounds like I'm on the record. So when you talk about capitalizing things, we go through the entire operating budget and we have to do a test for capital outlay anyway. So my deputy goes through the entire $100 million budget along with the Board of Ed business manager. We go through the budget and we identify items that are capitalizable anyway,
Okay,
regardless of the account they're in.
thank you.
Okay, thanks you for that clarification. Thanks, Joe. So the motion on the floor is to reduce the road reconstruction budget within the Public Works Highway budget, item 54305 within 1054303, from 190,000 down to 175,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. I want to go next to the also within 1054303, item 51618. Can you do we have it up there? I think this is to support the town engineer, which I believe we have been without for some time, and I believe there is some potential to defer the hiring of this individual until maybe the spring of 27.
54,000, that would leave 10,000 for
Yep.
May 1st.
Yes. So the proposal that I have is to cut what is the total right now? 541,000 by 54, which gets us to what? 489,000. Thank you. That's the motion I will entertain.
So moved.
But that's to go all the way to.
Okay.
Second,
Thank you. Moved and seconded to reduce the $543,000 budget by $54,000 to defer the hiring of this town engineer until May 1st of 27. Any discussion?
May I just ask what the magic is around May 1st?
We don't pay health insurance. So if you hire them May 2nd, they don't need health insurance until July 1st. Pay the county on its own.
Any discussion, any further discussion? Motion on the floor is to cut the item 51618 within the Public Works 1054303 budget by 54,000, so it now becomes 489,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
501, motion carries. Let's go to the library annual contribution. This is budget item 1054501. Can you bring that up, Kevin? Right now, we are at $1,348,167. And it's my understanding that it is possible for the library to get some grant funding. So I'm going to propose that we reduce the library allocation by $13,167, which would bring us to a allocation to the library of $1,335,000.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to take item 58504 within the 1054501 budget from 1.348167 down to 1.335000, a reduction of $13,167. Discussion, please. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining?
Abstain.
501, that motion carries. Kevin, is it possible, before we get into public safety, for you to give us a sense of the amount of cuts we've made so far, please? Because I think we made $745,000 in capital projects, and I don't know what all this adds to in currently.
So currently we're at $349,168 of operating cuts.
349,168
Correct.
plus the 745 on capital projects, and that should get us, that's about 1.1 million-ish.
But not off, only the 349 is operating, the rest of it was bonding, that solves an, solves an impact. But the one piece I don't want to forget is the state money for the Board of Ed. We have to add that in the revenue section. So
Okay,
just.
but we're going to deal with Board of Ed in a little bit, but I want to go through public safety first.
Yep.
Okay.
You want to see where we are for a mill rate right now?
Yes, please.
4.5, 1.25.
So we were 28.01 last year. If we make 0 other cuts tonight, what we have already voted on gets us to 29.28, a 4.5% increase.
Correct, but that's not inclusive of the 243,000 additional revenues from the state.
Got it. All right, let's, the police chief, Glenn, had a proposal for us with regard to the police budget. Can you bring up the police budget, please? So this is item 51635 within the 1054201 budget. Have I got that right? And right now we allocated previously $2,576,849. Is that correct? Okay. And the chief's recommendation is that we don't reduce the police officers further, but instead he would take $26,000 away from part-time police officers, which is just below it, 51640.
I have, Chief, 14,000 now?
Yes, that's what he said.
14 part-time and 12.
And 12,000 on the
overtime.
overtime line.
12 overtime.
So, my first motion is to reduce the part-time police officers line 51640. Really? No, 51640. 51640, part-time police officers by $14,000 down to zero. And the premise behind my entertaining this motion is that we do not reduce the officers that are contained within the item right above. Okay, that's my suggested motion. Anybody want to make it?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce item 51640 within the police budget, reduce the 14,000 down to zero. Discussion, please.
And this would still be the original agreement that the officers would start January?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now, we have 2 officers to start January, so that adds up to a grand total of 1 that we're paying for the year.
Okay. Does that cost calculation include the training and the equipment and the benefits?
That is only salary, I believe, and so we would need to also reflect the health insurance and retirement, right?
Pensionable employees who wouldn't pay this year would start kicking in the future years.
But the health insurance,
Health insurance, yes, $18,000 for each half officer, so 36.
that's
For 2 officers.
for the half year,
18 for half year.
18 for a half year, so 2 times 18 for the half year is 36. Yep, okay.
Can we assume that you've already built that into the budget elsewhere, though?
No, he hasn't yet. We are going to get to health insurance after we talk about. I'm sorry?
No, sorry, I was just.
No, all I was going to say was we are going to get to health insurance, Kim, after we make our decisions about police and fire.
I'm just, besides those benefits, I'm just wondering in terms of the cost of equipment, training, and uniform, if that's in addition to the salaries.
Correct. Yeah, it's baked in the budget. It's in the budget for those 2 officers, right? Like, we're not have to add anything or do anything for the budget. Be those costs. If you take them out, you can reduce them as line items, for sure. Do you need extra Ts or anything like that?
Okay. But essentially, it's an added cost beyond the salary for those officers. Okay. Yeah.
Is that accounted for on a line item that we can look at?
It would be within the department budget.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's probably in this training line, right? It's probably where the new tasers and stuff like that, they got that.
Okay. Motion on the floor is to reduce the part-time police officers' budget as proposed by the chief by 14,000 down to zero. With the background information that we've already discussed, that we would not be reducing the 2 officers that we previously supported. Any further discussion?
If possible, I don't know if it's possible, but if the numbers could be played out for the addition of 1 police officer rather than 2, yeah, please.
Thank you. So in this budget, in the police department's operating budget, there's no need for any additional increases with training, with uniforms, with anything else except the salary line needs to stay the same if the 2 remain. The only thing outside of this would be the health care and not the pension. I don't believe the 18,000 would represent the half-year health care per half-year person unless it's a full family plan.
It's a budget for family.
I budget for single, so I don't know if you want to share that, those numbers, but as far as training, equipment, and uniforms, there's no need for any additional funding.
But if a personnel was reduced, then the training and the equipment would be subsequently reduced?
No, it's just moved around. So
Oh,
in other
okay.
words, if we have a new officer, that officer may receive $1,000 in training, basic training obligations. If that person's not there, then somebody else would get advanced training that they would need for recertification in other areas.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any further discussion of this item? Kim? Okay, the motion on the floor is to reduce the part-time police officer budget by $14,000 down to 0. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Next is the overtime line, which is line 51645, which is what, 228? Reduce that by $12,000. It's currently at $500,000, so it would go to $488,000. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce the police overtime line by $12,000 down to $488,000. Discussion, please.
Can I just ask, did we get that 12,000 because,
With the
math.
26,000, so had we cut the 2 officers, we would have saved $66,000, but we would have paid $20,000 in overtime for a net savings of 26. And the chief's proposal to us was to give us that 26 in a different way. And so 14 plus 12 gets us to 26. I think I've got that right.
so I just want to do the math quick on this. So our overtime rate is 500,000. Our salary rate is 2.5 million, which means if I am doing my math right, our overtime rate is 20%. Is that fair, or is there funky math in there?
So maybe the chief can speak to it, he's not even yes, but I think a piece of it is, it's not just all, like overtime like they're working. A portion of it, 70,000 of that is training, and then there's also boat patrol. And so it's 360 is just standard overtime. I know that's not much better, but 360, so,
So,
Are you finished?
well, I'm just
Keep going.
I'm just trying to do the math. So if we're going to carry, if those 2 police officers half year is 66,000, and we would assume that they would work 20% overtime, like everybody else is working 20% overtime, that would be a salary burden, salary and overtime of 79,000. So, and the chief is returning to us 26,000. I'm just trying to figure out if the math works,
I'd like
right?
the chief to do that, but I think the idea is kind of like more bodies that can fill the gaps and call people in.
Yeah, it's not as clear cut as that. We morphed the $360,000 and the $140,000 into one line.
I remember that.
Right, so it made up boat overtime, patrol, parade overtime, there's enforcement overtime, a number of different buckets. Without the 2 half-year positions in, we will exceed that $500,000 number by $40,000 in overtime. So we would either need to add $40,000 to the overtime line, make it $540,000, or just know that we're going to spend more than that because of staffing obligations. The $12,000 in reductions that I'm proposing would come out of the discretionary overtime, the bike patrol, the walking beats, the boat patrol.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarifications. Any further discussion? Rich?
No.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to reduce the overtime line by $12,000 within the police budget. Can you bring it back up again, please, so I just make sure I've got the numbers right? So it goes from 500,000 to 488. It's item 51645 within the 1054201 budget. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Let's go to firefighters. So right now, can you bring that up, Kevin, please? This is item 51619 within the 1054205 budget. Right now, what is allocated is $1,334,145. And Kevin, can you remind me if I've got this right? We've got 3 hires right now within the firefighters, 1 July 1st, 1 October 1st, and 1 January 1st of 27.
It's 2.25 full-time equivalents.
So because we suggested staggering the starts, we've got 2.25 coming in.
Yes, 1 July, 1 October, 1 January.
Okay. Okay. What if, in the spirit of compromise, we delayed each of those hires by 3 months? So therefore, it would be October 1st, January 1st, and April 1st of 27. So therefore, it's 9 months we're no longer paying. What does that make the 2.25? Does it go down to like 1.5?
Original number is, what's the number now?
1,334 and change. 1,334,000 and change was the original number.
$16,642.
1,316. So we're saving $18,000 only by deferring all 3 by 3 months each.
Yes,
That feels low to me.
How about if they all go
stress me out.
January?
Yeah.
To January.
I mean, Rich is suggesting something simpler, make everybody start January.
Just like the
Can you do
police.
that?
Yeah. So I was trying to be too overly creative, but let me take Rich's suggestion, and everybody starts January. So now it's 1.5 flat, right?
Okay, got 1,268,555.
1,268,555, which is a savings of about 70,000, right? Ish. 64,000.
One computer.
Well, we were 1,334, so whatever 1,334 minus 1,268 is.
Are you shouting things at me? I'm not really listening.
I'm sorry to shout, I don't mean to.
1, 2, 6, 8, 5, 5. Okay, so I got a reduction of 65,590.
Sorry?
65,590 I got.
65,590 is our savings. So that's gonna be my motion, my suggested motion. Let's reduce the firefighter wages by 65,590, which would enable them to do all 3 hires as of January the 1st of 27.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a discussion?
Yes. So I think everyone in this town wants us to have the very best of public services. We want to make sure that all of our citizens are safe. I am still struggling with how our police department can run with 20% overtime, and our fire department, with the addition of 3 additional staff that are in this budget, are running, check my math, a 50% overtime rate. You're carrying $700,000 in overtime on salaries at 1.4. That is a 50% overtime rate. I am grateful and I appreciate, and I'm sure the town appreciates, the fact that from a collective bargaining unit standpoint, there was some positive negotiation around overtime. But even with that, you're at a 50% overtime rate. And Chief, I know I'm going to get in trouble calling you out, but it's hard to imagine the town supporting a department that runs at a 50% overtime rate when we don't have a volunteer program, and again, I'm open to feedback, but 70 to 80% of our calls are EMS calls, and I don't think we're billing for EMS services, either ALS or BLS, out of our fire department, which I believe is possible. So, you know, we can do this. We can vote yes on this tonight. But I would surely hope that for the good of this town, that we look to do some things different with our fire service at 50% overtime, going out on, I'm going to call it 70% EMS calls. I don't think we're billing for any of those services, and not having a volunteer program. I think we can do better, Chief.
May I address?
Absolutely.
To your point, you're absolutely right. We are not billing for our EMS portion of that. We don't hold the PSA, which is the primary service agreement. I had made recommendations in the past for the town to take it over so that we could do that. We only hold the R1. And to your point, I don't believe there's a mechanism in place for a patient to be double billed, because that's essentially that's exactly what would be happening, because your East Lyme Ambulance Fund, your not-for-profit ambulance organization, is doing the billing, in addition to any bundle billing that's coming out of an ALS service, which would be L&M. I am all for exploring the PSA component of that so that the town can generate some of this revenue. Because to your point, you are absolutely right. We are not recouping any of the loss for what we're trying to staff.
Can you inform us, maybe someone in this room can help, what is preventing those discussions from occurring? What is preventing the negotiations from happening, where there could be some funding coming to the town for the support that the fire service provides?
I'm not sure in terms, I'm not following in terms, what kind of negotiations and conversations with whom?
Some type of a collaborative agreement where there is revenue sharing. Like, we can't, the burden is too great, Chief, and you're running at 50% overtime. Like, it's not a, we're at a point where we're not going to be able to continue to fund our public services unless we find alternate ways. Now's the time for innovation and creativity. 50% overtime, it's half.
I'm not disagreeing with you. These are all
It's a burden.
conversations that I've had.
Okay, so I'm done on my soapbox. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
Other discussion on this change of $65,000?
Yeah, just one thing is that this is still under the chief's plan to man the 3 firehouses rather than the 2 that have been manned or personed in the past. Is that correct, that you're still looking at having folks at 3 firehouses?
The strategic plan that I mentioned earlier that was always going to be the target, was to be 2 firefighters at each station, which essentially would staff all 3 of the stations, as you explained. What we're currently doing is we're trying to fill that outlier, the Rocky Neck section, with that part-timer. With the addition of the additional staffing, that'll give us that 1 extra on per shift, that during the daytime, during the high volume, we have the ability to put somebody out there and then supplement it as the funding's available through the part-time, so that we do have that 6. But it's not going to be a fix-all where you're going to have somebody there on a 24-hour basis, because again, it goes back to the collective bargaining, that I can't put a firefighter by themselves in an outlying station per their contract. So we would rely on that part-time person to fill that gap.
Right. Have there been thoughts of just having the 2 firehouses, and perhaps, since there's been such concern out at Black Point in that area, that maybe firehouse number 2 could service Niantic and Black Point, that it's kind of in between?
I don't think the facility itself would support that.
Right.
Because you can't get the volume or the number of apparatus in there to operate out of, as you would, as I would call it, as a headquarter. Because then essentially what you're suggesting is what was suggested before, that you're closing a firehouse. And theoretically, or should I say logistically, the only one you could close would be the Rocky Neck section. Because again, we don't have the space there to facilitate all of the apparatus for them to respond. And not to mention, it's not a town-owned building, so I think we have to have a presence there by virtue of whatever agreement we have with the state, because it's state-owned. But logistically, that's not the one that you would make your headquarter.
Okay. I'm just trying to look into the future and see whether we really need 3 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of discussion for another day. The discussion on the table is whether to have
That's why
3
in the early
firefighters.
stages of the budget process, I asked that we put money aside for that type of a study to see how the town could be best served in that condition.
Okay. Hopefully some grant can support that study. So, thank you.
Chief, I have one more question for you. Just a clarification. When you spoke earlier about ISO ratings and home insurance and the addition of the 3 firefighters, could you run through that one more? So if I understand, so the 3 firefighters is going to improve ISO ratings, which in turn will have an impact upon decreasing home insurance?
The current ISO rating was classified, I think it was in 2015. I was asked earlier, and then I didn't have the answer. Our rating currently is a 4 to 4X, so we're on the verge of being a 5. I don't have the entire report, but one of the categories that we get graded, if you would, is company personnel, and out of 15 is your possible maximum credit, we received a 3.98. So that was the area that we took one of the biggest hits on.
Okay.
So the adding of additional fire personnel can only help us, because pretty much everything else has remained the same, with the exception of call volume.
And then
But
insurance agencies look at that ISO rating and
Correct.
make our home insurance rates based upon that.
correct,
Okay.
there's a direct
Thank-
correlation to insurance premiums with that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anything else?
Just if you have the cutoff as to what the insurance ratings would be for a drop in the fire and
That
homeowners.
I don't have that,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? So the motion on the floor is to reduce career firefighter wages by $65,590, so that it winds up at $1,268,555. This is item 51619 within the 1054205 budget. No further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
4-1-1, the motion carries. Okay, so Kevin, now that we have modified the firefighter wages, can we go to retirement liability and health insurance, please? I'll let you pick which one we go to first.
Sorry, deficit account 4142. Easier one to be first is retirement liability.
Okay, so now, right now it's at 150. And with these changes by deferring all three firefighters to January, does that allow us to reduce the retirement liability at all?
No. So that's not what this line is related to. The retirement liability line is for employees that have been here, 10, 20 plus years, who are retiring. It pays up for vacation time and a portion of sick time. So those employees that have accumulated their accrued hours, when they leave, we pay them out. Same with police officers. Can anyone hear me? No, they can't. Sorry. Okay, so we pay out for vacation time when employees retire or leave,
Yeah.
and then for firefighters and police officers, they're allowed to accrue a comp time bank, or at least firefighters were. So there's a small amount there that they kind of carry since when they started, and then when they leave, they get paid out for that. So this amount is to cover that. The liability's north of $1 million for employees that are eligible to leave today.
Okay.
So just
All
give
right,
everyone a heads
so
up.
thank you for that explanation. I'm sorry for my misunderstanding. Before we go to health insurance, which I think is going to be impacted modestly, I want to go to the maintenance payroll, the groundskeepers, which is within the 1054503 budget, which is Parks and Rec. If we go to, what is it, 51625? Right now we have $313,009, is that right?
Correct.
And I believe that's 5 groundskeepers, have I got that right?
4.5.
Okay. Can we reduce one groundskeeper? And if we did, that would be about 30,000, have I got that right?
I'm assuming you're talking about the second piece of the groundskeeper number 5. So the initial tranche for 29,234 there from Board of Selectmen, that was the initial reduction of that position from full-time to part-time. And so if you're looking to eliminate that position, you would motion for 29,234 to be removed.
29,234, thank you. So that's going to be the motion I'll entertain, is to reduce one groundskeeper by 0.5, is that right?
Is that a vacant position now that we're carrying in the budget? Oh, I'm sorry, we have to do a motion.
Yeah, is there a motion?
Sorry.
I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to reduce item 51625 within the Parks and Rec budget 1054503 by $29,234. That would leave us with a budget outlay of $283,775. Discussion.
Sorry about that, thank you. Is that an open position that we're carrying in the books?
So that position was budgeted for half year this year, Jerry? It's half year? Half year this year. There's some, there's an unexpected passing of one of our employees in that department, so that kind of delayed the hiring of position 5. When they went to post position 5, the day before they went to post, I'm pretty sure we put a spending and hiring freeze in. And so that delayed the hiring for that position all of this year. So that position was half-time in the budget for half this year, and then full for this current year we're budgeting. But we were unable to fill it this year due to the spending freeze, and we pushed that off for half-time next year to January 1st. This proposed cut will eliminate that fourth groundskeeper. I'm sorry, fifth groundskeeper. Bring
Okay.
that total to 4.
Thank you for that
Just to
explanation.
clarify.
Other questions? Discussion? Forgive me. So the motion on the floor is to reduce maintenance payroll within the Parks and Recreation budget 51625 of the 1054503 budget by $29,234, which would be paying for the 5th groundskeeper that is currently not staffed anyway. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? 5-1-0, the motion carries. Okay, so I had gotten ahead of myself, but now let's talk about health insurance, Kevin. Since we've now cut one part of a 5th groundskeeper and we've moved the 2 firefighters to January 1st starts. And I think the town engineer cut. So what does that make our health insurance right now was within item 1054142. 4142.
All right, hold on. So we cut. You left both the police officers in,
Yeah, we did.
and you cut .75 firemen. .75. So we're on here. Times 37,000. 551. So we can cut an additional $59,841 from the health insurance piece.
Okay, can you just show us that health insurance line, please? It is it's 52800 within the 1054142 budget.
Green highlight.
Great. So right now it's at 3,236,280, and the number you just gave us was 59,841. I definitely can't do that math. That brings us to 3.1.
3,176,439.
Okay, thank you. So my entertained motion is that we reduce the health insurance budget 52800 within a 1054142 overall to 3,176,439. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is
Second.
there good, thank you. Motions first and seconded. Discussion, please. Okay, moved and seconded to reduce the health insurance budget by $59,841, so it lands at $3,176,439. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. We don't have much left. One of the things we wanted to do was
Retirement liability.
Retirement liability, Scott.
okay. Yeah, the retirement liability. Yeah, we did that one.
Oh, okay. I thought
We did that one too.
Oh, okay.
So retirement liability, right now, that's the one you mentioned that has to do with when people depart. Can you bring that up on the screen?
Yep, it's the one highlighted in orange. It's 52905, retirement liability.
Yes, right now it's at 150, and if we were to reduce it by 30,000, it would go to 120. That's the motion I will recommend.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded to reduce item 52905 within the 1054142 budget, currently at 150,000. Reduce it by 30,000, it would go to 120. Discussion, please.
So Kevin, retirement liability, this is buyout of vacation and sick time. It has nothing to do like with an assumption of how much we have to pay for pensions or anything.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Just vacation, sick time, comp time, whatever accrued time off their union contract stipulates.
Okay.
What's the reduction on your pension?
30,000.
Can I ask what we've incurred so far this year?
Stand by, 105,412, 905. Can't think of anyone who's left this year just yet.
Or if you change that question to what's it looked like over the last couple of years? And the construction project is not slated to be finished till November, right?
So last year we spent $112, and this year we've already spent 75. 2 years ago we spent 194. 2024 it doesn't on here because we haven't finalized that audit yet. But so last year was 112. Currently we're at 76. 3 years ago we spent 195 in this line. So it all depends, and we do have. You know, I know the chief of police is here. There's when that road job ends in November, those police officers, that's the highest their pension's ever going to be.
Yep.
So the ones that can go are probably, a couple of them are definitely probably going to go.
So if somebody was to retire in November, December, are we?
That's in this budget.
It's in this budget.
Yep. And
Okay.
just to click in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on this motion?
Yes, one other thing. Our contingency funds, the personnel contingency.
Yep.
I'm not going to ask you if it can cover it because you avoided that question before, but do you think we have a fairly healthy contingency fund should we have a mass exodus?
Well, so if we were to have a mass, the second part of the question stumped me. The first part, do we have a health contingency fund? No, it should be probably about 1%. So you're looking at a $100 million budget, it should be closer to $1 million. We're at about 500,000 when you add all the contingency items. So that's part one. Part two is if everyone leaves. So I think it would just be a matter of, okay, well, if we lose 3, police officers at once, you're saving however much you're saving every week. It's going to take a while to hire them. I would do what I did this year, and last week I think we transferred 125,000 out of your lines to cover some legal expenses and other things. Part of the budget transfers we did, the same exact thing would happen, right? So we would transfer some money out of that, whatever lines are under budgeted, and transfer that to cover any overages.
Okay. So the difference between facing our liability between 150 and 120, the potential liability
It's in the
is so
millions.
great that
Yeah, it's over $3 million.
that we're going to need to do something more than what the 150 would have been anyway. So
Our accrued liability is sitting right around $3 million, and if everyone leaves every 25 years, you're paying out about $125,000 a year. So right around where we are, right? So
right.
Any other discussion on this item? All right, so the motion on the floor is to reduce the retirement liability, item 52905, within the 1054142 budget from $150,000 down to $120,000. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more motion. We didn't share it. So the FICA Medicare line, that's line 52200, line number 85 here. We can cut that back another, scroll down here. I've got 1 million, so 120, let's say 1,020,000. 18,000.
Okay. Great. So this is
The FICA Medicare 52200, 1,038,000. You can cut that back to 1,020,000.
okay. Yes. Why would I say no? Let's go with 52200 within the 1054142 budget, reducing it from 1.0 to the 1.02 million. No, to
1,038,000.
1,038,000. Thank you. I was misreading. To 1,020,000, a reduction of 18,000. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded to reduce FICA Medicare by $18,000. Item 52200. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Can you give us the updated total, please, without me yelling, of the reductions we've just made in the town budget, please?
We're at 29.2 mils. We're at 1.19 mil increase, 4 1/4, and we still have one more revenue adjustment to make before we have a good number.
Okay, so but can you give me amounts?
Yep. What do you want? Overall budget?
Because I have the 745,000 for the capital budget, and previously when I asked this question, before we got to public safety, you said there was 349,168 we
Yep,
had
gotcha.
just cut.
Yep, stand by.
Now what are we cutting now that we've added in public safety and
$577,833.
okay, and if you add 577,833 to 745,000, what do we get, please?
$1,322,833.
So that is the current reduction in the town operating budget, 1.322 million that we've made tonight. Before we get to Board of Ed, are there other discussions about any other items within the town budget?
Yes, I have one. I know that town has been on a hiring freeze for a wee bit. If we, how can I say this? How many open positions are being carried in the town budget? Like, is there 5 FTEs, 3 FTEs? Because if they're in the budget and they're open positions, and we would choose not to, if we would choose to defer hiring,
I have without my HR director here, it's kind of hard.
yeah.
I know I have a payroll clerk in my office out. We have a part-time tax collector. I'm just looking around the room to see other department heads who have cuts, their positions not filled. Anybody? Joe, are you fully staffed? I know there was a tax, I don't know if they've offered it to the part-time tax collector. I know there was interviews, and my payroll clerk, I'm trying to think what else in town is not filled right now. Groundskeeper 5, but we're not filling that. Town engineer,
You took that.
I took that already. I'm just trying to go through every department in my head. Youth and Family Services. I think that's it. I think it's just the tax collector and the accounting clerk.
There was a new person in the tax collector's office starting.
He started already? I think it's just my payroll clerk. I'm trying to think who else. I'm looking at my other department heads here.
So really, no, the hiring freeze, there weren't that many positions that
Not many
were
people have left.
frozen. Okay.
I'm trying to think who's left. Everyone's been here since Vietnam. It's just my payroll clerk.
Hmm.
I think just one.
Okay, so then the only other thing, and I'm sorry I'm a broken record on this topic, but at our last Board of Finance meeting that followed the last public hearing, there was the discussion of the emergency management position. My recollection is what we talked about at that meeting was taking away, I think we took away the stipend to the chief for,
There was a director's stipend that was taken away, but the deputy's salary is still there.
And the stipend goes towards her salary.
And the
doesn't
stipend
it?
goes towards her salary.
Yeah, so the stipend wasn't taken away, just never assumed.
Well, she was getting an interim stipend to
Yeah.
assume the responsibilities of the director.
Yeah.
But as of July 1st, that's getting taken away from her
Oh, okay.
based on the budget.
Can you bring that budget item up on the
Yeah,
screen so
yep.
we could just take a
Yep.
closer look at it, please?
Absolutely. And then just quickly, the assistant building official. I didn't see any full-time spots. So we're going engineer.
It's in the 105-4223 budget, emergency management services?
Yep, passed it right over.
Toward the bottom, yeah.
Yep, here we go.
So the director and the deputy EMD and we cut the director, yeah? The 25,000, and we left the deputy EMD alone? Have I got that right? Okay, so Kim?
so I believe that this is probably a part-time job for the town. I don't, so I know it's hard when we have people in positions. But I'm wondering if we could make that a part-time position.
And if we were to do so, we would, you would propose cutting that salary by 50%, I'm asking?
Yes. I don't know what impact that would have on benefits, perhaps nothing, but,
Yeah. All right, you want to make a motion?
sure. I'll make a motion to reduce the deputy EMD position from full-time to part-time.
Okay. Is there a second? Is there a second? Okay. Thank you. Any other items? Can you show us, Kevin, with the reduction in the town budget of $1,322,833, what are year-over-year changes compared to last year, please? Is that possible to do?
Yeah, so this is the current year budget. We're currently sitting at 96,657,786. Current budget is 102,170,606.
Right, but the town portion of
Town
that?
portion up here. So town budget last year, this current year we're in, $25,212,442. Budget proposed, $27,514,650.
Yeah, and if we if we reduce that 27 million 514 by 1,322,833, which was the amount that we said. Cash capital is,
Scott, I think the amounts are you referring to the 745 plus that?
yes.
So that 745 won't come up on the operating budget. It'll just be shown in debt service in future years. We've already encompassed cash capital. The only piece of this, besides Board of Ed, is just that revenue piece we need to add. And that'll give you a good reflection of where we are with the mill rate right now. But this is encompassing of all the changes we've made. This is like a living document or a living front summary sheet. The only change here is to the Board of Ed revenues and the Board of Ed expenditures.
Right, but so what you're saying is the 27,514,000 that's in the proposed budget already reflects what we changed tonight?
Yes,
Yeah,
I see what you're saying, Scott. Okay, I got you. Hold on a second here. Let's go back here to this expenditure work paper. So, let me see if I got the town budget. So here's Board of Ed. So town side, before we made changes tonight, the town side budget was 27,829. 27,829, 532.
Which represented what level of increase compared to last year?
Stand by. Let me just do the math here. It's 314,882. So let's go here. So if I go back over here and do plus 314,882. So it was originally up 10.3%, 10.38, and now it's up 9.1. Is that what your question was?
Yes, that is exactly my question. So now we're down, so we've gone from a 10.3% increase down to
10.4.
down to a 9.1% increase in the town budget.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
so there before you were at, if you want to look at the screen here, so it's kind of hard to see. Hold on, sorry. So before you were at 10,617,000, and with the reductions we made, 10,302,000. I'm sorry, 2,302,000 numbers. Make sure we zero all these out. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other items on the town budget?
I was wondering, you were starting to mention additional revenues.
So there's only one way we can address revenue. Okay. Sorry guys, the revenue's already in there.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, you gotta vote on it, but I really need to take it out so you can see the impact of where you currently are, you know what I'm saying? So hold on, that's gotta come out, the 243. This is where you currently stand.
Which line should we be looking at here?
Sorry, the mill rate increase down below. So remember, it was at 29.2. That was with already that 243,000 from the state. I had that added that in already. My
Oh, okay.
apologies.
No worries.
All right, I was kind of hoping to put that little cherry on top and drop it down a little bit, but
All right, so the 243 went to the Board of Ed.
it can go offset taxes of the town. $243,060. So the guidance changed a little bit there on May 20th. The state sent out updated guidance. And so that 243 owes $243,060 supplemental educational aid can offset this. So we can put that in revenue. Mariana, you agree? Yep.
It was originally allocated as ESC, if I got that right?
ECF.
ECS,
yeah, education.
Yeah.
Okay, and when we met after the high school meeting, we agreed to continue to allow it to go into the Board of Ed's revenue.
Correct, but I
Okay.
think,
Okay. So, and what you're telling us tonight is based on the May 20th communication from the state. We now have the option of taking that out of ECS and putting that in.
You're just, essentially what you're doing is you're matching it to the expenses now. Would you agree, Mariana? Yeah. Yeah. So you were just increasing the state aid by $243,060.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion about town before we go to the education discussion?
We can look at salary increases. Are there any built into this in this fiscal budget?
Yep. So everybody obviously all unions are contractually obligated, but non-affiliated are getting 275, with the exception of 3 people, I believe. We're getting a slight bump.
How much is the
$62,000. So if we were to reduce that 2.75 to a lower percentage increase for non-union employees, let's just say we reduce it to 2.0, which is the math that I asked Kevin to do, we save $62,000. And everybody gets a 2% increase instead of a 2.75.
You'd be better off hitting capital for 60,000. Cash capital. Doesn't buy us a whole lot.
Okay. All right. Unless there is any further discussion of town budget, let's go to education, please. I just want to make sure we're totally clear. The $243,060 that was allocated from the state that we voted on previously to allow it to remain in the education could be moved to offset mill rate and add to revenues for the town budget. Have I got that right?
Correct.
Okay. Additionally, you'll recall at our last meeting at the high school, we allocated $362,951 that was going to come out of cash capital into the education budget. So one thing that we could do is eliminate that $362,000 that came from cash capital, and we could take back that $243,000 and put it into town budget. Does anybody want to make a motion about that? If we were to do so, I can add it up for you, Barry. That would add up to $606,011 that we reduce from the Board of Education allocation, and their budget becomes $65,639,836.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to reduce the Board of Education allocation by $606,11, and that includes the $243,060 from the state, as well as the $362,951 that we allocated from cash capital. Discussion.
So I'd like to, I don't have a strong opinion on the money from the state. I do have a strong opinion on the 364.
362,951.
Okay. So my recollection of what we did there was we were using fund balance dollars to balance our operating budget. And during the process of the meeting, we moved more things to cash capital, and we're using the fund balance to pay for capital items such that we were able to alleviate, or I shouldn't say alleviate, eliminate the I'm going to call it the subsidy that the town was taking to cover operating expense. So it was kind of a convoluted move, but from my standpoint, we did it for a couple what I thought were very good things. We set up a thought process that we would use our fund balance to cover capital costs the way many nonprofits use their endowments to cover capital costs. And we stopped the process where the town was using money from the fund balance to augment operations, because I believe that we need to get the town to run, the town and the Board of Ed, we need to get all of our budgets aligned with our revenue. So by taking that 362, I'm not following where we're moving that from. So we're just gonna, because I'm not in favor of just burdening the schools with that.
Okay. Are you finished?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So we're still using $1 million from the fund balance. What you had proposed was taking another $362,000 out of the fund balance in addition to that $1 million that was already taken out for this next year's budget. But you're looking at it like in annuity and you know, getting the growth off of your annuity to then use for other things. And it sounds good on paper, but you're still taking from the fund balance. Yeah, you're doing a more fiscally responsible thing to pay down your debt. So you moved that there, but then what you had done was to take that and put that into the schools. What I'm looking at tonight is that we've added $122,000 between the police and the fire department. We had the 362 that you took from the fund balance to pay cash capital. And to me, we're still faced with the burden that our mill rates going up more than what the electorate was desiring, or what I'm thinking they were desiring. And as I had mentioned before, I thought that similar to when we were in the pandemic and we took an enormous amount from our fund balance to put into the operating budget, even though that's not the proper thing to do, it does at least relieve the debt burden for people that are paying their taxes, that the mill rate will go down. The education aspect, you know, I'm not sure. It was a nice maneuver, but I still think things are tough times now. And I think if we look up how much we've reduced tonight from the town side and the education side, it comes up pretty close. And that's just what I have to say, that I would like to see additional money taken from the fund balance to try to lower the mill rate increase, even though that's not the proper fiscal thing to do.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion to reduce the Board of Ed allocation by $606,011?
I would just like to make a comment. I think I've been consistent, not in favor of a reduction of that size, and just wanted to, I'm concerned about the effect on teachers and students. And I acknowledge other board members' comments as well as the vote last Thursday, but maintain that position.
Yep. right, so any further discussion? Motion on the floor is to reduce the Board of Education allocation by $606,011. And can you just give us the number of what it becomes, please, Kevin?
$65,683,825.
683,825. Thank you. And that reduction of 606,000 is the 243 from the state, as well as what we gave extra from cash capital last time. If no further discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
Any abstentions? Motion carries 4-2. Kevin, can you let us know now with the reduction in the Board of Ed budget as well as the 243 added to the town budget revenues, what that does to the mill rate, please?
Under a mill. 28.98, 0.97, 3.46.
3.46% increase. Okay. I have exhausted my list of everything I wanted to go through. Does anybody have any other items they wish to talk about and consider changes?
Okay. I just point for the record, I don't have approval for that. Did you guys approve that 243? You did not approve that yet.
Oh, okay.
You did not.
It was,
just
I
read
think
all
it was
this.
in the assumption, was it not?
Approve
You
it.
have to-
to-
you have
approve
to-
it-
But we have
approve
to
it- approve it as
moving
revenue.
into
You have to
revenues.
approve that separately as revenue.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
So-
Because I just want to make sure my notes match.
I want to, before we get to the revenue, I want to make sure everybody's done with budget reductions, please.
Budget reductions. So I'm going to make a motion to offset everything that we just took away from the schools and cover it with fund balance. Because I frankly don't believe that our budget will pass if we keep putting more pressure on the school. I received, and as I think all of us did, a large number of emails talking about the school budget. I have had a lot of people personally talk to me about the school budget. So if we really think that we're going to take another, what was the number?
606.
606,000 out of the school budget, and the budget is, you think it's going to pass at referendum? I think we're kidding ourselves. So I would rather make a motion that we're going to take 606,000 out of the fund balance so that the school does not get hit with any more cuts. That's my motion.
But we've just cut the schools by 606.
I know, and I'm saying cover the 606 that we're cutting the schools with by taking it out of the fund balance.
Can you bring up the fund balance line, please?
So I just want to point that out. That's two separate motions. Motion one would be to increase use of fund balance to revenue.
Understood.
Okay, just so we're
Oh,
clear.
yeah, but
Okay.
you will walk us through what it's going to take.
Yep, so right now, it's kind of hard to see here. So started $1 million use of fund balance. We added the 362,951. We're currently using $1,362,951 of fund balance in this proposed budget.
And that 362 was the 362 that just happened, yes?
Nope,
No.
this 362 was from the public hearing meeting on April 27th, maybe?
But
The-
that, okay, but hold on, that fund balance of 1.3 million was to cover capital.
Correct, cash capital was the
Cash
idea.
capital.
That the
So-
one-time use of the
The
revenues.
the .362 million covered the cash capital. The 1 million was what was already in the budget to meet operating expenses that was taken from the fund balance and did not go towards anything. The 362,000 you had proposed to be cash capital that then you use that same amount to be
Yes.
added to the school budget.
Yes. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, but how we got there with that transaction was because we were facing basically pulling a second million out of the fund balance to cover the gap that we had coming out of that public hearing. Because I think that's around where we were at. So at least the move that we made last time was to get the fund balance focused on covering capital. It was to, that 1.3 million was to plug capital. It wasn't to run it through operations. That was the wheelie-dealie of that discussion and transaction. Yes, it was. That was my intent.
That
If it
was your
didn't-
intent,
If
but
it didn't ripple through there, then it's a source of revenue or a source of asset issue. I think I was clear in what I motioned was that we were going to use our fund balance dollars to cover capital. It was never to have it plugging a hole in operations.
but the way the budget was set up from the very start,
I
and
understand.
that million was plugging a hole.
Can we take a 5-minute
What you
recess?
proposed was 362,000 from fund balance to go to cash capital.
No,
So-
if I missed it,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, not to interrupt, but there's very strict guidelines of what we're allowed to adjust after a budget's failed. So with the revenue piece of it, I believe we're only allowed to adjust revisions to state revenues that we've received. I do not know if we're allowed to adjust use of fund balance at this point or not. So if we could take a recess, I'll call our town attorney and just verify if we're able to use that funding or not.
I mean, you explained that to me a few days ago, that we could not adjust revenues for this round.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to take a 5-minute recess, I'll check with our town attorney. But I do not, to best of my recollection, the only thing we're allowed to touch is the 243,000 that the state changed. But that's the only reason we're able to touch the revenue side of things is if the state's made a revision. I just want to verify that though before I give wrong information or not. But if we just
Right,
take
but
5
I mean,
minutes.
I don't mind taking the 5 minutes, but there's a motion on the floor, and there's not a second yet.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to allocate $606,011 from cash capital to revenues. And so before we get into further discussion, let's have Kevin find out if we can legally do that at this point. And we'll take a 5-minute recess, everybody?
Sorry,
Okay.
guys.
Do I have to gavel us out? Or
If
what
you
we
want to
do?
gavel out and do a quick little 5-minute
All
break.
right, so we're taking a 5-minute recess. We have to vote?
Sure, I probably would just for.
Let's vote on a 5-minute recess.
I make a motion that we have a
Second?
5-minute recess.
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, abstentions, we're recessed for 5 minutes. I can go? You guys ready? Ready?
Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
Call the meeting to order again of the East Lyme Board of Finance after a break. Thank you for your patience, everybody. We needed to check with council to determine whether or not we have the opportunity to adjust revenues after a town referendum has failed. Dan?
Yes, so I did consult with our town attorney, and upon the advice of council, the Board of Finance does not have the authority to adjust revenue after the referendum from the fund balance. We are going to seek a written opinion by Thursday is the next meeting.
Yes.
So we'll have a written opinion by then that hopefully is consistent with the initial impression. But we'll see what it is, and then once we have a written opinion, then you'll still have an opportunity to make adjustments if it's permitted. But right now, the best advice is it is not.
Okay, thank you for getting that information. Appreciate the town council was available to us quickly. So the motion on the floor was to use fund balance to restore $606,011 to revenues. In light of Dan's information received from town council, I propose that the motion be withdrawn.
So moved.
The second has to also be withdrawn.
Second.
Second and the original motion have been withdrawn. Thank you. Okay, so
243.
say it again.
Just the 243.
So the $243,060 that was allocated by the state, that I think we are allowed to put into revenues because it's state funds.
It's a revision of state revenues after our budget was passed. It's an exception in the state statutes.
Okay. All right. So then I entertain a motion that we add to the revenue line. Where is that going to go in, Kevin?
Account 43400.
43400 within
Intergovernmental revenue.
Intergovernment revenues, $243,060. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, please.
Where was the money originally intended to go?
So with the initial tranche, the state gave us the $779,000, but the guidance was a little kind of wishy-washy on it. So the idea at the town level was to appropriate the town supplemental. The town received $536,657 from the supplemental Mohegan Pequot money, and the Board of Ed got $243,000. So it was just really the guidance of it. The idea was that was going to go, I think, into kind of like the grants fund for a while, and then we'll appropriate it that way. But now that the referendum did not pass, we're able to just kind of put that into the general fund now that the state's updated their guidance as of May 20th.
But the state updated their guidance saying we could do it, but that it doesn't require us to do it this way.
Correct.
I just want to make sure that's clear as I think about this.
What I can do is I can forward the correspondence I got from CCM, not CCM, I'm sorry, Office of Policy Management, with the latest guidance, so you guys can read it.
So column U, line, I don't know,
This-
72.
Right here?
Yes, so that's the 536,000 that was intended for the town.
Correct.
And we're asking to add the 243 just to the global revenues.
To the
Of the
general
town.
fund operating, yep.
And not allow it to be in the specific purview of the Board of Ed, which it was originally intended to be used for.
I'll say yes to everything but the last part of the question. I'm not exactly sure the intent of it, other than to give the towns one-time source of revenue, because next year this money's not coming, to the best of my knowledge, so.
Right, but I think it's important for us. So we quickly took the 536. Why did we pause on the 243?
It was how, at the time, it was how the state was wording the use of that grant revenue.
They were
Right.
wording it to go to the schools originally.
Yeah, I think so, right? Yes.
And so, so now with this, we're saying that it's not going to the schools, it's just going to the town with this particular motion.
Well, we've already reduced the school allocation by $606,000 tonight, which includes that 243 that we had allowed to go to them from the state. And the motion on the floor now is to allow us to use the 243 in revenues, which we are permitted to do by statute.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion? So the motion on the floor is to add $243,060 to item 43400. on the other grants operating cost of the total intergovernmental revenues budget. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-1. All right.
It's 4-2.
I
Oh,
voted,
you were
I'm sorry, I was the one.
forgive me, I didn't hear
No,
you
it's,
say.
I might not have said it, but I appreciate it.
4-2. So I misstated. It's 4-2. Motion passes.
Abstains or noes? Noes.
All right.
Abstains, no.
That is all of our budget deliberations tonight. We'll have further opportunity for budget deliberations after the public hearing at the school on Thursday night, May 28th. And next up on our agenda is public comments. Please.
I'm generally appalled. Like, you took the $243,000 the state said was for education and then just used that as an excuse to take another $350,000 off the kids of East Lyme. Shame.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments?
I don't think this budget will pass. This is a huge cut. This is not a compromise. And like Tim said, you're just taking money from the state to take it out of our budget to help the mill rate. I think there should be more motions. Obviously, it's over at this point. But on Thursday, we'll hear the voice of the people, and we'll hear more about why they voted the first budget down and why this is unacceptable to gut the schools without really negotiating a compromise. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else?
Jeff Newton, the superintendent. I just have to reiterate exactly what was just said. You know, we're now at $1,540,000, a little over that, of a reduction into the school budget, all in. I mean, it's a double hit. You took the 243 and now you put back 306. That's a double hit to the Board of Ed. Significant. That's all.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments?
Yeah, Ryan Schrader, 15 Applewood Common. So earlier today, I put out a comparative analysis of our budget, showing how we compare to neighboring towns, and I selected peer towns based on similar mill rate, similar population, similar student body size. There's some differences in towns. So Waterford, Stonington, they have large commercial districts that allow them. They have a higher mill rate as a result. They hold commercial district around Crystal Mall, and Stonington has the area around in Mystic on their side. That does drive some additional town costs. They have additional. I'm sure they have additional road maintenance and public safety services. So what I tried to do to compare them fairly is I looked at the rate of growth. And what I found was, again, I picked peer towns first. I didn't seek towns that matched my analysis. So I looked at towns in our area that are relatively similar. And I found that on the BOE side, our growth actually trails the region by a little bit. So the average growth in the region is about 16% over the last, what I looked at the last 3 budget cycles, so the last 3 increases. East Lyme trailed at 14.7, comparable but lower. When I looked at town operations in the last 4 years, the average peer in our district has about a 14% increase over that. This is a cumulative increase over 3 years. East Lyme's before tonight was hovering at 29%. So roughly, over twice, the increase. It's the town spending is what's driving the budget increase. And this is new in East Lyme. We've been pretty fiscally responsible on both sides for a long time, but the last two budgets have really blown that up. And tonight, we cut $300,000 from the town side, and 1.5, I don't know what the final number is, from the schools. This is going to put the schools significantly behind, and the town is still growing at 9% this year, 9.18, I think. It's completely mismatched. The town is getting, is up 30% in 3 years. So the town has additional services and capacity and everything. The schools are not. The schools are in line with our peers, and so this kind of cut will put us significantly behind. And I think we'll see that voice come Thursday. Okay.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments? Okay, to board comments? I just want to thank members of the public for being here, for making their comments tonight. I want to thank the board members for their engagement and willingness to work through a lot of these details. And I especially want to thank Dan and the Board of Selectmen and Kevin and the Finance Department for all the work you guys have done in the past few days to understand where there might be these additional budget reductions and all the hard work to help us to explain them. Thank you for all that to everybody. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? We're adjourned.